Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. Love after a soulmate post-separation. It's been 15 months since I found out my partner had an affair. I was with her for 7 years and have a 4-year-old together. She met a man at her work in February, and claims she immediately fell in love with him. I caught her in a lie in March, and upon finding out about the affair, she took off that day. This man lived on the East Coast and we lived on the West Coast. I was devastated. I loved her deeply, and although we had some external ups and downs in our relationship, we always felt our core relationship was strong. We had even decided to trying to conceive our second child just a few months earlier, December, and we're having much more sex than usual. We ourselves had an intense love that was passionate from the get-go, and developed into best friends, committed, and deep love. We always had each other back, and she was the first person who made me feel seen and understood. I felt and still feel like she was my soulmate. Now a lot of people tell me if she was your soulmate she wouldn't. Yeah, I get that, but unfortunately this has not changed this deep feeling about her significances to me. It doesn't change the love I had for her, and to be honest, this deep love I continue to have for her even though the damage has been done and could never be together again. Fast forward to now, I have full custody of our child. She is thousands of miles away. I'm working a good job and getting on with life. But I feel empty. I miss love. I miss my friend. I'm really grateful to have my son and raise him, even if it's a challenge sometimes. I have yet to meet anyone that I have had a spark with since the ending of this significant relationship. I've gone on a few dates with people only to find out it feels like I'm trying versus the natural excitement I have felt in a previous relationship. I'm no longer that exuberant youthful 20-something guy with all the freedom and excitement. I have always had a girlfriend since my teens, and this last year of being single has been a huge shift for me. As I'm aging into my mid-30s, with all kinds of responsibility, mid-level professional, I just don't feel attractive physically or materialistically. In my 20s it seems like you were judged by your personality. In my 30s it seems like I'm judged by the type of car I drive, how big my house is, and how often I go to fancy places. I was very much settling into domestic life, and going out and looking flashy was the last of my priorities, with work and family. On a very honest level, in my heart and mind, I sense that I will never love again. I gave my everything to my previous partner and truly viewed her as my soulmate. I loved her in a way that I've never felt for any of my other serious relationships. I find myself in deep pain over this. How do we love again after our soulmate? You won't find love again by dwelling on the past. Things take time and you will feel better, and hopefully you'll find some sort of green grass and new normal. Then, when you least expect it, love will blossom again right under your feet. You can tell yourself she was your soulmate or kindred flame or whatever, but in the end that's just romantic jargon, and reality is all around you. You know that. I felt that with my ex-husband. I became devoted to raising my kids without him and stayed single for many years. Through that time I did date a few men, but nothing really clicked. I made many friends and spent time outside the home without my children, and focused on my healing before I could really allow anyone into my heart again. I always said I'd never get married again because it hurt. He cheated on me, and my kids met the woman while we were still married and living in the same home. When my kids were in high school I met a wonderful man with kids in the same age range as mine. He also had full custody of his kids and the mom wasn't around. He still had healing to do from that, and it was a struggle. My ex-husband was my first love. But he didn't love me the way I loved him. Take time to heal, focus on yourself and your child. I promise as time goes on you will heal. Deal with the loss. Please do not hold it in. One of the first men I dated after my marriage ended was very hung up on his ex-wife. It was hard and I stayed for a bit. But the constant nights of drinking and him crying in his drunken state over his ex made me leave. He wasn't ready. You will know when you are ready. Find some dad friends to spend time with. What soulmate ditches her child to run off with another man? I understand that deep feeling for someone. Feeling like you were meant to be. It's a hard pill to swallow when they rip your heart out and then stomp on it. I'm a late 30s female. I have found my 30s to be better in terms of dating. Most people come with baggage and scars, but they also come with life lessons and new skills. Most people know what they want by their 30s, and the ones who don't, you avoid like the plague. You will find love again. It takes time. It also takes being open to meeting people outside of your type. One of my friends has a rule, in that there's no such thing as a bad date. He goes on dates with everyone he's somewhat interested in, and is pickier when making a second date. Not everyone is materialistic, but by our 30s, we do want people who are stable. Who have careers and homes/their own space. Depends where you live, but in my city you need a vehicle, as I have no desire to taxi someone around or always go to them. Hang in there. Yeah, I get that, but unfortunately this has not changed this deep feeling about her significances to me. It doesn't change the love I had for her, and to be honest, this deep love I continue to have for her even though the damage has been done and could never be together again. This isn't a soul connection, it's codependency. Most of us felt that way about our waywards when the betrayal was fresh. The unrealized potential of what should have been is going to create longing. You want to believe the person you thought they were is them. And it probably was a facet of who they are. Your time together wasn't imaginary. But they also consciously did what they did. She literally left you for another person who was her soulmate. But this, more important than your love, your care, your time and dedication, or even that connection you believe exists. That connection is one-sided. I'm sure you poured all your love into her, but the same tendencies that make her a cheater make her an emotional black hole. Your love, despite being complete and selfless, was not returned, simply imbibed and appreciated. If your connection was half what you portray it to be, could she betray you the way she did? Would even a friendly co-parent do what she did? She doesn't care about her place in your heart any more than the escape hatch or guarantee of support it represents. You won't find peace, nor reconnection holding onto the torch you carried for her. Even if she comes back, she still left. You would need a reason more important than the connection she threw away to actually have anything other than momentary comfort. You need to willingly put this down if anything good will come to you in a romantic sense. An emotionally or mentally unavailable man will not offer much to any woman of substance, and to be frank, she doesn't care even a fraction as much as you do, beyond the purposes you serve in her life. Let go. You feel that way for a while. It hurts and hurts. But one day you realize that love doesn't look like that. The fog of how much you loved them lifts and you realize you didn't deserve that. Your life gets better from there. Slowly and carefully. It took me a really long time to move on, and I still struggle with the trauma of it all. I now have an extremely loving boyfriend who I'm moving with now. It hurts a lot for so long, but slowly it fades. I'm not all the way healed. There are some things that will stay for me for probably a very long time. It may seem silly, but I used to do this exercise where I picture the both of us tied with strings. Doesn't matter how many there are, but eventually I would picture me cutting one or a few. Eventually it helped me move on. I also did it a few times with candles and just watched them burn, safely of course. I won't say it gets better, cause it won't probably ever, depending. But the pain changes. You love a different way than you did with them. It's not muted, don't think of it like that, it's just different. I think he was my soulmate for the time, and now you need to make room for a new one to come. I believe you can have multiple soulmates. She was your soulmate for the time you needed her to be. Now you have to slowly move on. If she was your soulmate, she wouldn't. Oops. Well, there's literally billions of women in this world, so don't think that you can never love again. You're hurt now, fantasizing what could have been. But when you get back to your normal thoughts, when this grieves over, you will notice that there's life after darkness. Give it time, my friend, eventually you'll see her for what she is and want nothing more to do with her. Been there, done that. 9 months ago I couldn't imagine life without her, now I know she's just a dirty cheat with no morals. Unfortunately we have kids together. You'll get there eventually. Stay strong. I think you have to commit to changing your life perspective. What you went through is doubly traumatic because she left you and your child. I assume she is not present, or very little, in her child's life. But you've got to decide that you want a different kind of life now. Change your behaviors and perspectives. If you haven't started handling the trauma, start reading and/or get a therapist. Start finding hobbies just to meet people and gain some friendships. You're stuck in a rut and trying to force dating, I'm guessing through old. It's time to change your perspectives and approach rather than just settling for this is how it is. Meet new people. Not always with the intent to date. Just to gain a broader perspective and share life experiences. Find a community that helps you thrive. You've given up before you even have had time to heal. Soulmate is from a 19th century poem. It's not some spiritual unseen connection you have, that's why I don't believe in it. With the attitude you have, you've put up a wall from any other woman having a chance with you. Your ex is just that, an ex who threw you and her son away for a man she barely even knows. I'd expect there's a good chance you'll hear from her again. If I were you, I'd ignore it before you find yourself emotionally imprisoned by her. I know exactly where you are coming from. I believed the same thing myself to a certain extent. The reason people, especially us here, don't like the word soulmate is that it is unrealistic. It leads many people to stay in a relationship that is unhealthy or toxic, all because they're the one. If she was the one, how could she leave? Wouldn't she have to stay with her soulmate? Do you think she was your soulmate, but someone else was hers? You admit you could never be together again, so doesn't that suggest the possibility that you're missing out on your soulmate right now? I know this is all logic and you're dealing with emotions, but the best way to be able to move past this is to realize she was not the one. She wasn't who you were supposed to be with. She was a very rough, very large, very broken speed bump on the way to where you belong. You've got to be able to tell your heart to get over her, and you have to get over her to be able to give anyone else an honest chance. Don't let go of her to find someone else. Do it to find yourself. Don't give up on her to replace her. Do it to rebuild you. Your life can't be about her anymore, so why let the dream that she betrayed hold you back? It's great to love, but you have to love yourself first. Show that you love yourself and your child by letting go of the toxic person that is still influencing your life. What type of person would abandon their daughter? She was not the woman you thought she was. I miss my friend. Bro, friends don't do this to friends. I feel you. Granted, I am much further along with regard to healing. I mourned for a long time. I mourned for my family that was lost. I mourned for a future that should have been. The truth is that I am entitled to none of that. Our belief in those things, soulmates, and the vain and stupid idea that you had life figured out is a dangerous game. I am owed nothing, no certain terms in a nameless future, no love, no joy, nothing. No one is. Life simply does not deal in entitlements. If my ex had died, I'd be in the same exact place I am right now. Life is what it is. In my experience, having used some of those words you used myself, that there is no such thing as a soulmate. Love and the beautiful bonds of commitment are much more so. Intent, mutual sacrifice, choosing that person every day, even when it's hardest, and continuing to do so. Using a misnomer to describe love that requires no effort, no reciprocity, no hardship is cheapening the lifelong commitment that marriage and partnership, parenthood, with another person should likely be. Give yourself time. You're still deep in the fog, and rightfully so. I think I went through the stages of grief twice, given how my relationship ended. It's not easy, but it must be done for your little one. Be Atlas. Show him how a strong person perseveres. Strengthen yourself for the days to come. They'll be brutal, but they must be faced head-on. Best of luck. Keep talking. When I married, my father-in-law asked me if I thought her daughter was the love of my life, my soulmate. I said, yes, of course. He answered, no, my boy. She isn't. I was outraged by this, but he continued, you are only two very young people who are more or less compatible. But a loving marriage is not only wine and roses. It's suffering, hard work and dedication to the relationship and to each other, every day. If you reach my old age, and are as lucky as I'm, you will look at my daughter and say, she is the love of my life, my soulmate. Then, you will be right. Not now. Soulmates aren't encountered but made. Made by overcame hardships and shared happiness, by a life lived together, side by side. You will find a good girl and make your soulmate. You are still very young. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night. Wherever you are.